Alright lads, and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be outlining my perfect version or image of World of Warcraft. Now, the Lazy Peon kind of started this video concept and encouraged people to do it on their own. As far as I know, the Fine Brothers haven't done one yet, so hopefully this video won't get removed. Now the reason why I also put MMO in the title of this video is because I think some of the ideas that I have are a little mental that wouldn't fit in with the current state of World of Warcraft as it is. You know, and interestingly guys, one of my friends is studying to be a game designer and I'm trying to make myself as an author, so in a few years you might see us both releasing our own MMO. I mean, it's something we're always talking about. We always criticise games and think how they could be done better. But anyway, let's get on with the video. I'm going to break it down into the most substantially important sections like leveling, classes, endgame and professions. So in my eyes, the perfect leveling system would work like this. Imagine playing Skyrim, except it was online. Now before you get out your pitchforks, let's talk about the problems with leveling right now. First of all, it takes too long. It takes longer than completely finishing a detailed single-player RPG game, and when it takes this long, everyone is just in a massive rush to level fast to get to endgame, so they don't even pay attention to the story while leveling. This is why Star Wars: The Old Republic failed, or one of the reasons anyway, because they just put too much of their development time into the dialogue of the game, but didn't put as much development time into the actual content and gameplay of the game. But imagine if the game only took 12 hours to get to max level. Imagine playing Skyrim for 12 hours. I mean, you could easily play Skyrim and enjoy yourself for over 300 hours, maybe even more. I would design an open world like Skyrim with about 50 hours of gameplay and story-focused questing, but it would only take you about 12 hours to get to max level, which means when it comes to leveling and all, there would also be a lot of replayability. I'd also take the same approach to Skyrim and have a long main storyline along with long guild storylines. So imagine being able to join the Scarlet Crusade, or the Rogue Clan like the Raven Dolt, or you could become a pirate like the Bloodsail Buccaneer. There could be a story-focused, a storyline focused on fighting a scourge in the Plague Lands, Scholomance and Strathholm would be a part of that questline, as a dungeon. In the Raven Dolt, there could be a storyline focused on being a secret assassin, or some kind of agent attempting to assassinate the war chief of the Horde, or Prince Varian Wynn, some important person. As a pirate, you could just roam the seas, board ships, and sack towns and stuff. I think this would be a lot better because it would build more of an identity to your character. Perhaps there could be unique mounts, unique titles obtainable by following certain guild quest lines. I mean, like Skyrim, I would scale the game towards you. I mean, so you could also fast travel like Skyrim to locations on your map which you've already discovered. And when it came to leveling, you could scale up or down to the leader of your party. So a level 100 could play alongside his level 1 friend who's just starting out, and he could play storylines and of these guilds that he's never played before. And the zones wouldn't have a certain level like Skyrim. I mean, there's certain parts of Skyrim which has different levels. I mean, you can do any quest at any point. I think I would have it more like that. So you can go to you could go to Outland at level 1 and follow some kind of factions quest line if you wanted to. I'd also only make dungeons available after you've completed a certain storyline. I wouldn't, to unlock them. Perhaps dungeons can be a part of certain faction quests. I would also make it so there are other quests which aren't strict to a faction as well. Perhaps you could choose to be a bounty hunter and there's bounty quests to go around to the world and kill people. But it could be, I wouldn't have maybe I would have small miscellaneous quests. I would also have long quest lines separate to factions. I mean, there's a lot of that in Skyrim, but they would be story focused, but I wouldn't have the leveling so long that you just rushed over story. Anyway, back to the script. But also I wouldn't make dungeons just repeatable, so because that's just not fun. By the time you get to endgame, you've spammed the same spells in the dungeon for so long, you've all just become bored of your class. I mean, what's the point of that? It takes about over 70 hours to complete, to get to endgame. If I play Skyrim for 70 hours on one character, I'm bored. I'm yeah, whatever, I want to try out some new skills, you know what I mean? That's what it's like with WoW. I mean, you level your class to endgame, it's just God, if I spam these spells for so long, I'm bored. I mean, I'm getting that while playing Vanilla WoW, because I'm only spamming about 3 spells endlessly for like 5 days playtime. You know, I think it's one of the problems with World of Warcraft. Yeah, I just think the leveling should be a lot shorter. You know, leveling should feel like actual content. You don't hear people who play Skyrim say the game only gets fun at level 50, do you? I mean, it's fun from straight away. I mean, right now the game is just a mindless, open world grind that people just want to rush as fast as possible, and you know, it's become boring. When WoW was first released, the big appeal was the fact that the game was so big and the exploration felt significantly immersive, but that kind of game is a dying breed, really. I mean, people have shorter attention spans, people just don't have as much time. I think it's very difficult for people to get into World of Warcraft right now, because I mean, imagine if you just start playing it. I mean, it's just a boring, horrible grind. I mean, who wants to start playing that? Nobody wants to start playing a game like that, really. Just to finish off this leveling section, I would, just like to talk about the actual levels themselves and health values, mana values, all that kind of thing. I mean, Blizzard have made a right mess of this. First of all, if I was making an MMO, I would make the first level cap level 20, and then the next expansion would be level 30. I mean, there's no point in having all these high numbers for your health and your mana. I mean, it makes people feel like a bloody raid boss. It's just not nice. I mean, we're not all professional mathematicians. We don't like big numbers. It's just naturally human. Nobody likes maths. Well, some people like maths, but pretty much all of us don't. And you know, for each expansion, I would raise the average health amount by about 5k, not jump from 20k to bloody 100k, then 100k to over 400k. I mean, it's just daft. I don't want to be a raid boss. I want smaller numbers, basically. Smaller numbers. It's manageable, isn't it? It's easier to work out with everything. They tried to fix it with WoD, but they just repeated the same regurgitated horrible crap. I mean, what are they doing? So anyway, endgame. Right now, I feel like raiding in WoW is perfectly sound. There's nothing wrong with raiding. It's the only thing that's really good in the game right now. The only thing that really has any appeal, except for the fact that you'll have to play Hellfire Citadel for over a year. I mean, that is absolutely horrendous. Nobody can play one raid for a year. I mean, come on. Like, think about that for a second. One raid for a year. It's stupid. I had an interesting idea to sneakily kind of increase the amount of endgame content in WoW, so bear with me. So we have the endgame raid, like for instance Hellfire Citadel. Imagine this was released when WoD came out. Now, to progress into Hellfire Citadel, you have to participate in the time walking raid. Yes, time walking raids. That could be Icecrown Citadel, for instance. Now, I think this would have a lot of appeal, because a lot of people want to know what raiding was like during different expansions. That's why there's so many private servers, so many popular private servers, I might add. Imagine playing the Black Temple at level 100 to progress into Hellfire Citadel, then maybe every month or every patch the time walking raid changes. Maybe to the Blackwing Descent, or maybe something else, maybe to a collection of raids that were released on an expansion launch, so maybe Naxxramas, Eye of Eternity and the Ruby Sanctum all put into as your progressive raid. You know, this is how the story and the lore of the previous expansions could be dealt with, instead of forcing us to level and rush through each expansion zone. Now, PvP, which is probably what you've all been waiting for. My first idea was to remake Ashran. I'm joking, but I'm kind of not joking, because I would actually make an open world survival PvP zone like DayZ or H1Z1. Now, the story for the whole, the story for the zone would be that while you're travelling in the zone, you get ambushed and left for dead by some bandits. There would be like survival mechanics like eating and drinking. There'll be no groups, no healers, just one-on-one PvP action. There would also be no gear or stat increases. Maybe the gear would give you some kind of resistance, some kind of advantage which wouldn't be numerically damage or defensive. Maybe it just increases your resistance to the cold. Maybe the cold does something bad for you. Maybe it makes you hungry faster or something, so that would, maybe the gear kind of just like makes you less hungry, something like that. I'd also kind of mix it in with PvP content, like for instance replacing zombies. Well, maybe we could have a few ghouls, but it'd be too much like copying. It'd be too much like that'll just be weird. But you know, have bandits, have creatures, mythological creatures. You know, I can have anything. There's so many different things in World of Warcraft right now. Also, there could be settlements, areas to go in. There would be soloable bosses in the zone, a bit like the Brawlers Guild, which is another cool feature I'd bring back. You get honor points for killing other players, and perhaps a bit of gold. And the longer you survive, you know, get more PvP for the points for the longer you survive. Perhaps you get like a certain amount each 5 minutes, and then that amount keeps going up for the longer you survive. And this gear, the gear that you earn from this would progress you into rated content. For Battlegrounds, there would be no more bloody flag maps or base maps. You know, we've had enough of them. There would be crazy ideas like team deathmatch, free for all. There's also having this idea of a battleground set in the middle of a ship battle, right? You would have to board the enemy ship and plant explosive to blow up the ship, and the ships would be moving, and there'd be like these time intervals where you could swing on a rope and board a ship, but you would have to like coordinate it as a team, and the ships would kind of be like a base that you have to defend. It kind of gets a bit like Flight of Icarus if you played that, and perhaps there's teams of 5. So you're put into a team of 5 rather than just 2 teams. There could be like 5 teams. I would also get rid of factions. If I was going to make an MMO, get rid of factions. I mean, it splits your player count in half. Why would you ever want to do that? So I definitely wouldn't have factions. Definitely. Another sad thing to leave PvP was the 5v5 arena system. I mean, you can still do it, but you don't get anything for it really. And you know, to be honest, it did kind of suck because you got too many people in such a small area. So I would make 5v5 battlegrounds like the one I just talked about, and have it as an actual rank system as well. So you got rated battlegrounds, you got rated small battlegrounds. I was also thinking of a MOBA style battleground. So I'm gonna lose my voice. Now bear with me. I'm not trying to make World of Warcraft into League of Legends here or something, but so let me get back to the script. Which it could be a mixture of PvE and PvE content, like Altered Valley. Like the thing with Altered Valley is you're trying to you've got this big map and you're trying to push forward, or defend. And I kind of like that, you know, pushing, and it could be actual mobs fighting each other in this zone, and you can kill them to increase your score. So you know the PvE content's there. And you know you need them to like push your team forward to take down towers. Perhaps you can take towers back, just like old AV. But it could be bosses in the zone to solo, and then when you solo these bosses, you can summon them to fight for you. I mean, League of Legends, Dota, and Smite, you know, they have a good PvP model. Essentially, League of Legends is old Altered Valley if you think about it. And I think it could be easily mixed in with WoW. Obviously, you know, you wouldn't have items to buy in that current background, nothing like that. I mean, whatever you think about these games are incredibly more popular than WoW for a good reason. I mean, who wouldn't want old AV as a single game? You know, a standalone game. I mean, think about it. Arenas, I think they're pretty sound as they are. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just about killing each other in a certain area. It's not really about objectives, is it? I might just make the maps a bit more interesting, like maybe one takes place on a plane, a zeppelin, or a train, you know, just something like that. A bit more pillars. Some of them are just like blank empty spaces. I wouldn't have blank empty spaces as much, basically. Another thing for PvP in general would be kind of what's coming in Legion, but I'll take it a bit further. I would make a PvE rogue a completely different class to a PvP rogue, because that simple change kind of fixes all the balancing issues. Another general thing is for your honor point battleground, so the ones you can just queue for, the one you don't need a pre-made team for, I would have gear not on objective in that mode. So whatever gear you're going on with, if you go in there naked, you're all going to have the same amount of stats, so it's all going to be balanced in the matchmaking version. But the pre-made version, the ranked system, you will need gear, and gear will matter a lot in the ranked system, so you will have to earn gear. So gear still feels like, you know, you're earning it. You earn it in these honor battlegrounds, honor, you know, skirmishes, whatever, this open world PvP zone. You earn your gear in that, but while you're earning gear, you are completely balanced. Isn't like someone with full conquest gear won't be able to own someone with full honor gear in these kind of battlegrounds. And that's another thing, I would only have one type of gear system. I wouldn't have honor gear at all. Honor, there'll just be one, just be honor. Honor would get you honor gear, and that's it. They can go into ranked games. I mean, why have two currency systems? It's just annoying. You know, it's just like, oh, come on. So yeah. And while we're on the topic of classes in general, let's actually talk about classes. If I was going to make an MMO, I would focus my time creating more variations of a single class, rather than making lots of classes. Like for example in WoW, I wouldn't have Warlock, Mage and Priest as separate classes. I would combine them together, you know, have more customization. So less classes but bigger classes. So maybe about 6 specializations for one class. But I wouldn't actually have specializations because I think they could be a bit restrictive. I'd promote hybridization because it would make your class more unique, since you will probably have a different spec to everyone else. I would definitely have something similar to the old talent system, but make it less linear, more circular, so you can get any points whenever you want, kind of thing. So, you know, so another example, there could be a soldier class, which could be a mixture of a warrior, a rogue, and a hunter. So, you know, you mix in stealth, you mix in range, you can mix whatever you want. Essentially, you are making your own class. This would also mean that you wouldn't have to re-roll as much, would it? I mean, if you get bored of your spec or your guild needs another healer, then you can just mess around with your spec a little bit and turn it into a healer, turn it into a completely new class, rather than, you know, re-rolling a class. It would be a bit more like Skyrim in ways, a bit more freedom and customization, and obviously there would be less gear competition. I'd also make it so gear will completely change to your current spec, and also I think I'd actually remove stats. Stats are kind of annoying and boring. Or I'd make it so you can like specifically choose which stats are on a certain piece of gear. Because, you know, endlessly doing raids to get your best in slot is a little tedious and it's frustrating when it doesn't drop. So let's finish with profession, since this video is getting pretty long and my voice is about to just fall out of my throat. The main problems with professions is obviously the boring grind to level up your profession to the current level of the expansion. I mean, Blizzard tried to fix this with some of the garrison features, but it was just crap, to be honest. It's a boring, horrible, endless grind, and you know, I would have a more immersive and story-focused method to increase your profession's skill. Imagine walking up to a blacksmith and asking him to train you, but he won't train you unless you help him out. Maybe he gives you a quest to collect some materials from a dungeon boss, or maybe his wife has been captured by some orcs and you have to follow a quest line to rescue his wife in order to earn his respect so that he'll share his crafting secrets with you. And then once you complete that quest, you're given a cinematic showing you your character hitting a hammer, and then you have level 300 blacksmithing skill. To progress further, there's another story-focused quest line to follow. Maybe you have to go and travel to the far reaches of the world and get these magically enchanted blacksmithing tools. You know, something just a bit more interesting. But maybe once at endgame, then it will be more about collecting materials to level your profession, so you actually do need to earn your professions. You don't have to just do quests, otherwise it doesn't really feel like you're actually a blacksmith. So yeah, there will be some crafting involved, but perhaps when you get to... First of all, I'd only make professions available when you get to endgame, because nobody wants to waste time doing professions when you're leveling up. Perhaps when you get to a certain level of blacksmithing, you earn a piece of gear, or you get to choose, like a bit like a quest reward. You get to choose a piece of gear, and it's actually useful to you. So professions kind of help you progress into raids as well. I guess they could function more like a guild as well. They could be a blacksmithing guild. I mean, Thingabob Nixion was talking a bit about that as well. I mean, it's simple stuff to make the game more interesting, because the game kind of just feels like it doesn't have enough character to it at the moment. It's just mobs that you kill, and it just kind of feels like that sometimes, the game. But anyway, let's get... I mean, every game really is a boring grind if you took away certain elements of it. Counter-Strike, for instance, really all that game is about just killing the enemy team as a grind. But what makes it fun is the strategy involved to, you know, go to certain bomb sites, certain tactics, guns. You know, every game is kind of like a boring grind, but so when you take away certain elements of the game to just make it that process of grinding, killing, like World of Warcraft has done, then it doesn't become a game, does it? It becomes... I don't know what it becomes. It becomes nothing. But anyway, lads, it's a bit of a negative note to end on. That is the end of the video. Let me know what ideas you have to improve World of Warcraft. I see a lot of people in the comment section claiming they've quit. A lot of people are constantly complaining about the game as well. In fact, so little people are playing the game these days that none of my World of Warcraft videos are getting like less views than my non-World of Warcraft videos. The videos that aren't World of Warcraft are getting more videos than all of my World of Warcraft videos put together. That's why you've kind of seen a change in content on my channel recently. It's just I'm not going to continue to make videos for such a small audience. It's just common sense. But a few of you are liking my new video concepts. I mean, the dislikes are only a little numbered because I think there's one guy who has to dislike all my videos for some reason. But whatever. My name is Metagoblin, and until my next video, ciao.